Welcome to the Epic Company Culture Podcast, where your host, Josh Sweeney, will give you, the business leaders, HR professionals, and company culture aficionados, the knowledge you need to take your company culture to the next level.
Seth, it's great to have you today. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your company.
Yeah, so Seth Seagraves, I'm the CEO of Halski Systems. We are a managed services company at our core, but that's kind of limiting and also very universal. We do anything that pertains to business IT, whether it's telecom services or consulting or AWS or desktop support. When it comes to business IT, that's what we do.
Got it. So far beyond managed services, but inclusive of that.
That's correct. And managed services is our core.
Okay.
But what I think is changing is, services is that key word there. And I think that services are changing daily, especially in the IT field. So
right.
What is traditional managed services? That's not really the game anymore.
Okay.
Right now, customers demand something a little different, and we follow the customers.
Yeah, and are you just seeing a spread across, services you have to support from AWS to Azure to, Google Cloud? I mean, I'm sure it's just hitting you from all different directions nowadays.
That's correct. Well, just 5 years ago, we would sell a backup device, and we would, have someone come on site and change tapes, and
right.
We would build their cloud in our data center. Well, today they could just zip it up into Azure. We could do that for them.
Yeah.
Or they could have backups off-site, and it's seamless and much cheaper. So
yeah.
The traditional managed services is changing, but we serve customers.
Very cool. Well, yeah, I know we all have to adopt with the changing needs. So you mentioned the word service, so I'm going to start to dig into the culture aspects of that because that comes up a lot. So, if we look back before Halski and look at, the careers that you've had, what have been some of your most important culture experiences where you said, I want to have a company, work in a company, lead a company that has these values or this type of culture? What are the experiences you've seen?
Yeah, so I think the biggest one is Air Force. I was in the Air Force for a couple of years, and actually three of Halski's core values are the same core values that were in the Air Force. So that was definitely an influential culture to me. I think that the military itself is what other companies should try to be a microcosm of. So there's this greater purpose in doing the little things right.
Yeah, so what'd you do in the Air Force?
I actually went to the Air Force Academy.
Okay.
I didn't finish up there. I was injured.
Okay.
But while I was there for a couple of years, I got to learn that culture. I thought of a couple of things that really impacted me from the Air Force culture. And we had a book that was called Contrails, and we had to memorize quotes. And one of those quotes that I still think of today is General Patton. He said, if you can't get them to salute when they should salute or wear the clothes you tell them to wear, then how are you going to get them to die for their country?
Yeah.
So, that is a big quote, and it's sort of ominous, but it really speaks to that Air Force culture of a higher calling. There's something that we're all doing here that's not about ourselves. We have to focus on the little things.
And how do you think that translates into the business?
Well, that's in life
Yeah.
and business and everything. You got to do the little things right, and you've got to have a big why. There's got to be something that you are doing that's bigger than yourself.
Yeah, I coach youth sports, and I was reading, going over a book. I can't remember who it was. It was a famous basketball coach. So he brings everybody in the beginning of the year. It's seniors, it's new people, whatever, and he starts off with all right, take off your shoes and your socks. Here's how you put your socks on. Here's how you put your shoes on. Here's how you tie your shoes, because we don't want it coming untied during the game. Yeah. And so he goes through the whole process around those little things, which build up the big things. Crucial moment, shoes untied, stops the momentum of the game. And I think a lot of people look past a lot of those types of things now. And, I think the thing that stood out for me on that one was, it wasn't just the new guys. The senior team members were doing it next to them every single year. Yeah. And that also reinforced to those new, those freshmen that this is what we do. You get on board, you go through it.
Yeah, well, focusing on the little things is paramount, but it has to be coupled with the bigger picture. So
right.
If somebody's telling you to do all these tedious things, it could be, daunting, and you might want to quit that. But if you're doing it for a greater purpose, I think that's what really builds a culture.
So really knowing why you're doing it, what impact it has.
That's right. And you're doing it with a team. That's another part.
Yeah. So what are some of the other values from the Air Force that you carried over and the impacts of those?
Well, like I mentioned, our core values is a RISE, R-I-S-E. For Halski, it's respect, integrity, servant's heart, and excellence. And at the Air Force, their motto was integrity first, service before self, and excellence in all we do. So integrity, service, and excellence made it over to ours, but we changed service to servant's heart.
Okay.
And that being a biblical reference, but just the spirit of serving is something that we're a service company. We better have it, right?
Yeah. Like the servant leadership model.
Absolutely.
Like Chick-fil-A, a couple companies are well known for that.
Absolutely. I would love to have a culture one day that, resembles Chick-fil-A in a little. Every time I go there, I smile.
Yeah.
It's their pleasure. That's very exciting. And that's how we want our customers to feel.
Yeah, I remember pulling up just a few days ago. Me and my wife were pulling up to the Chick-fil-A, and I had gone to that same one a few days later, and the same young man walks up to our car, and like as he's walking up, I'm like, this guy's really exciting. Wait for this. Like he had all sorts of energy.
And they're
so
a lot of times 17-year-old kids who are working through school or working through college, and their service level is that beyond many adults that I know. It's incredible and a culture did that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Whereas you get the alternate experience just walking through the mall, and
That's right.
there's all kinds of other things happening at 17 versus what that kid at Chick-fil-A is doing.
And I would argue that their culture attracted the people with similar cultures already.
Yeah, self-selected people into the system.
That's right.
Yeah, awesome. So Air Force servant leadership. All these different aspects came in to kind of help form a good culture at Halski. What were some things that you experienced in past companies that were more negative, like you didn't want to see that culture continue?
Well, I think that after the Air Force, I came home, still was dating my high school sweetheart, who I ended up marrying, and we have 3 kids and a 4th on the way. So,
congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. But it was getting serious, and I knew I had to pop the question on her pretty quick. So I got to where I started my own company. It was just me, and I pulled doors. I was selling data circuits, voice over IP, cell phone plans, and it was a hustle and it was a grind. And believe it or not, that you can create your own culture when it's just you.
Yeah.
And one thing that I realized in my 1.5, 2 years of doing that is that my culture, the culture that I want to be a part of, includes others. It includes a close relationship with others, like I had in the Air Force. I wanted a team to hold me accountable that I could hold accountable. That was probably my least favorite culture, is just working by myself.
Yeah, I've never really thought of it that way because my first company one of my first companies was a telecom company too. Did fiber optics and demarcs and all kinds of other stuff like that. Installations for CBeyond, AT&T, all different types of companies. And I've had multiple companies since, and never really thought about the lonely factor of being the lone entrepreneur until you start to add people. And I always know that I've always enjoyed coming into an office more than I've enjoyed working from home. That's just part of the culture of me, like what you're saying. That team, that camaraderie, building, having people around. So that first year is always kind of the loneliest time when it's you grinding it out.
It is. Well, you want the synergy to really amplify what you're doing. You want the 1 + 1 = 5.
Yeah.
Well, if it's just one, there's nothing to add to that.
Right.
It's just you, and there's only so much one person can do. You can't build a synergy. You can't build a business by yourself.
Yeah, it's definitely challenging to do so. Awesome. So we talked a little bit about Halski already, but what are some of the other things that you just love about the culture in the organization?
I would say that culture is who we are. That's my favorite aspect. I don't know if you've read the book. You've heard the quote that culture eats strategy for breakfast. Yep. I'm sure you being a culture guy, you've heard that many times. But I feel like
Drucker, right?
Yeah, that's right. So our strategy is culture. Being a service company, that's what we keep ourselves reminded of. So the respect, integrity, servant's heart, and excellence, those are 4 tenets that we even incentivize our employees to follow. Respect, are you hitting your SLAs? Integrity, you're being paid for 8 hours, how much of that was billable? Servant's heart, what is your customer satisfaction survey scores? Excellence, what does your manager think you're doing? How are you doing? How well are you doing it? Those are things that, as long as we focus on our people and we focus on those culture traits, then our company is going to continue to succeed without a strategy. Yes, we strategize. Yes, we have strategy sessions. However, as long as we focus on our customer in a market that changes so often, we're going to be fine. And that's what is exciting to me, is that we have a company that's built on the people. The people being our employees, our customers. We call ourselves the Halski family. And that includes everyone from our customers to our employees to each other and to our families, our wives, our children. That is something that we take very seriously, and I think that's what is a big testament to our success today.
Yeah, I like the theming around RISE and just, the ways that you can state the values and then what the impact is for each one. Integrity. Did you bill the number of hours that need to be billed based on what the workday looks like, what we need as a business, and that comes back to integrity. I don't always see people be able to clearly take their values and say, here's exactly what that means. Here's what we're looking at in order to see if you're conveying that value in the business.
Right.
Yeah. So as far as the military aspect, so you're the CEO of Halski, and you have a military background. And I've talked to some other people that were in the military, and they said, well, our office culture is somewhat of a reflection on that, in that very hardworking, heads down type of team. People come together, but it's not like what you would think of as Google, technology culture, right? So even though you're a technology company, it's a little bit of a different vibe. Would you say that, you have a different vibe because of the military background? You have other people that are in the military in the organization, or where do you fall in that office vibe?
We do have several folks who are in the Halski family who were military. I can think of 5 or 6 off the top of my head, but I would say that our culture is very different from that of the military, and this is no, dig at the military or the government, but we are all about service, and I didn't experience that very much in the Air Force. We are all about, well, we have service before self, but that's serving your country, and we're about customer service.
Right.
So that creates a completely different culture. We just have some of the similar tenets of integrity and, excellence. Those are all things, and doing the little things right. Those are things that brought over, but outside of that, we've kind of created our own culture.
Yeah. Are there any other highlights you'd like to share? I mean, I know you mentioned family and spouses and children. I mean, is that a heavy involvement in the organization, or, are there other things that are really, you feel are unique to you?
Absolutely. So, we haven't planned it this way, but the majority of our folks are either family people or they are people who are wanting to have a family, people who share those similar values in the same way that Chick-fil-A might attract someone who is already customer service oriented.
Yeah.
I feel like we attract people who value that family aspect. So us as a company, we look for the right person personality-wise. We look for the right person who is has the same morals that we do. When I say morals, customer service first, excellence, integrity. Outside of that, we can train the IT part.
Yeah.
That's technical. And even if you're an expert in something today, in a couple of years, that's going to be obsolete. So what we do is we hire the right folks for our culture, and we train them to where they should be.
Perfect. Yeah. I mean, we talk about that a lot in some of our podcasts and the workshops that we do around the skill sets are going to constantly change.
Yeah.
You want somebody who has the ability to change with the skill set, matches the culture of the organization, right person, train on the rest of the items that you can.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what is the thing that you're most look forward to enhancing around your culture, or the biggest challenge that you're having with company culture?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I would say our biggest challenge now, so we've grown tremendously. We've been very blessed, and we've gotten to 5 years ago we had 15 folks, and 3 years ago I think we had 25 or 30, and we're at 60 employees today. And as we continue to grow, it's much harder to disseminate a culture or a change of culture. Those are things that you can't just tell a couple of guys in a
Right.
meeting. So surrounding yourself with people who share that culture makes it a lot easier. And I guess what I'm most excited about is if we can truly focus on our people, they will take care of our customers. If we can truly continue to focus on our people, more people is better.
Yeah.
So it's going to have its challenges. It's going to be a lot more difficult to manage a culture of 100 employees, and we're going to be there soon. But I feel like as long as we focus on the people, as long as we focus on the service, we can serve our customers better with more employees. There are things, if we had 100 employees now, we could serve our customers more quickly, more efficiently, at a better rate. So as we grow, I think things will improve, and I'm excited about seeing our culture in a larger version of ourselves.
Yeah, well, that's fantastic growth for sure. I mean, as a CEO, I'm sure you're enjoying that growth, and congratulations on that. So,
Yeah, thank you.
yeah, well, we really appreciate you coming out for the podcast. Thank you for sharing all about Halski Systems. Halski Systems?
Halski.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
So thank you for coming out.
Yep, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the Epic Company Culture Podcast with Josh Sweeney. If you enjoyed this content, please subscribe on iTunes, SoundCloud, or Stitcher. For additional content and transcripts, visit epicculture.co. If you have questions or topics you would like us to address or expand on, tweet us at epicculture1 or email at podcast@epicculture.co.